force will replace the current African Union, AU, peacekeeping mission in Somalia by the end of the year, National Security Advisor Hussein Sheikh Ali told The National. The African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, ATMIS, is expected to wind up its operations on December 31st, ending the presence of the AU force in Somalia 17 years after it was deployed to help drive the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militant group out of the capital, Mogadishu, and to support the internationally recognized federal government. The AU force is operating under a UN mandate to counter a resurgence of Al-Shabaab and to train Somali security forces. The deployment of a multinational force in its stead is likely to face a backlash from some Somalis who are hoping to see the country's own armed forces take over. However, while the multinational force will be smaller than ATMIS, it will be considerably better equipped than the Somali army, and therefore a stronger option for combating Al-Shabaab than local security forces. The new force will secure key government and diplomatic installations in the country, according to Mr. Sheikh Ali, who has been leading Somalia's negotiations on the transition from ATMIS. Talks on the issue were also held before the African Union's Heads of State Summit, which was held at its headquarters in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa and was attended by Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. Discussions are already ongoing at AU headquarters, UN headquarters, and Mogadishu on this new multinational force between the federal government of Somalia, AU, UN, and donor partners. Mr. Sheikh Ali told The National by telephone. The talks focused on the mandate and strength of the new force, he said. The mandate of the new forces will be to protect key government infrastructure within Somalia and the logistics hubs of the Somalia security forces, as well as areas where foreign diplomatic missions, UN agencies, and international humanitarian organizations are located, the security advisor said. We estimate the new multinational forces to be around 3,000 to 8,000, and they will closely work with an equal number of Somali forces who will co-locate with them to eventually take over Somalia's security responsibilities from them after 12 months, he said, referring to plans for Somali forces to embed with the multinational coalition. The role of the mission will be reassessed after 12 months, with an option for an extension depending on the security situation in the country, he explained.
I visited Somalia several times. I was in Mogadishu several times, escorted by AMISOM. And I have seen the precarious conditions in which AMISOM soldiers were not only protecting the Somali people, but they were protecting our global security.
The strength of the current AU mission has dropped over the years from 22,000 at its outset to 14,000 currently, with another 4,000 personnel expected to leave in June. They operate in Mogadishu and across much of southern Somalia. Its members come from Burundi, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. Mr. Sheikh Ali did not say whether the new multinational force would draw from members of the ATMIS forces already in Somalia. The former deputy commander of the National Security and Intelligence Agency, NISA, Ismail Dahir Osman, who spoke to this program, said that the need for international troops to operate in Somalia during the transitional period is not a sign of the weakness of the armed forces, as in Somalia, and they have a lot of confidence in the quality of the country's military. This circumstance does not indicate a lack of trust or weakness within our armed forces. Rather, it underscores the reality of Somalia being a nation engaged in conflict, necessitating a careful consideration of the confidence vested in us by our allies and diplomats operating within Somalia during this transitional phase. The presence of international troops is imperative under these circumstances Ismail said.
We are working together with AMISOM, not looking at timelines, not looking at a date for an exit strategy, but looking at how we can increase the capacity of the Somali National Armed Forces, how we can accelerate proper force development within the Somali Armed Forces and other security forces, so that we create an environment whereby the Somali security forces are able to fully assume responsibility over Somalia's security, law and order, its integrity and sovereignty. And then we can say thank you to our African brothers. But I believe we should not talk about exit, timelines and dates. We should talk about how we can go to the second stage of capacity building and force development.
Of course, there has to be some sort of plan to draw down. However, for now, for the AU side, we believe that AMISOM's presence is critical for peace and security in the country. And we have to be careful about rushing the withdrawal, because at this point it would jeopardize the efforts made so far.
President Mohammed declared all-out war on al-Shabaab after his re-election in May 2022, describing them as Somalia's public enemy number one. He launched a three-pronged offensive to counter the group militarily, financially, and ideologically. Since then, government forces have taken the war to al-Shabaab. However, security analysts say the militants are now avoiding direct clashes with state forces and instead resorting to hit-and-run attacks, which allow them to strike at a time and location of their choosing. It is civilians, either killed or maimed, who have been the main victims of al-Shabaab's raids, bombings, and mortar fire over nearly 2 decades. We are worried whether the ATMIS peacekeepers leave or a new foreign force replaces them. The question many Somalis ask is, can al-Shabaab really be defeated? That is the million-dollar question that needs actions more than answers. Abdi Ali, a shopkeeper in Mogadishu, told The National.